totally do not blame Henry for running it back with the deck that he just won a regionals with. Now, Joshua is playing Miraidon. This has kind of become a bit of a fan favorite deck. It gets a top 8 finish every once in a while at our regional championships. There was one in top 8 of the European International Championships, and it does remain to be a popular day one choice, but overall, it does not have a strong grip on the meta like many of the other top decks that we featured.
And specifically in this matchup, it feels like a lot of things could go wrong when you're trading back and forth with Gardevoir. This one prize Pokemon can really put a dent in your plans. That's what I'll be looking out for. Prize cards, you never want to see that mysterious tail Mew in the prize cards. Having Gardevoir there, not great as well. And interesting cards we haven't seen in a while. Trekking Shoes in this Miraidon deck, trying to be aggressive and just draw a bunch of cards.
Well, yeah, shoutouts to Henry as well, running one of those new Getsis full art bosses orders from Paldea Evolved. The set did come out officially yesterday, so players are able to use those reprint cards in their decks. Can't, of course, use the brand new cards. You have to wait 2 weeks for that, but Henry was able to get his hands on a boss's orders, it looks like, right after the release happened.
And I think the people got to know, what's your favorite boss's orders are? What's the number one to go for?
I'm a big fan of Lysander, personally, just because I played so much during the 2016, 2017 era where Lysander was a key part of so many decks. Saying Lysander for game just feels so right. So I'm a bit of a sucker for that guy when it comes to picking which boss's orders I'm going with in my deck.
I'm a Sinnoh boy, man. I got to go for Cyrus. I got to go for my roots, and that sounds crazy. I'm young. Anyways, let's get into the game here, man. Henry starting out, card we keep saying over and over again, Battle VIP Pass. It shapes this meta when it comes to getting your Pokemon set up. Every format has had its card, and since its release, Battle VIP Pass has defined the meta it's been in.
Yeah, and Henry is already eyeing up that Greninja. It looks like he has a Ralts in hand. Normally for this other Battle VIP Pass grab, I think Mew would be a great option. That is in the prizes, as we mentioned. Maybe a Zacian, something like that, could come down. Henry also does have to kind of adjust his game plan and take a moment to think about what he's up against, as Joshua has flipped over a Regieleki V on the other side of the table.
The Regieleki can attack the first turn it comes into play. Does have the Switch Bowl attack. Can deal 30 damage. Switch into the active spot, but can't really knock out anything on Henry's side, so I think is more than happy to set up as normal. Does get this Radiant Greninja down. It is one of the best ways to search it out with this Battle VIP Pass. Of course, Level Ball, Fog Crystal, Ultra Ball, all ways to search out your Ralts, but Radiant Greninja, you're really relying off of Ultra Ball and the Level Ball. And a smart choice here to concealed cards first and wait to play those searching cards.
Yeah, waiting to play something like the Fog Crystal. Wouldn't mind getting some more Psychic Energy in hand. Potentially wants to see what he draws, maybe if he wants to go for that Zacian V. But that's a full suite of Ralts on the bench right away. Started 1-3 on the bench. Just a pass over to Josh.
An excellent setup to kick things off as Joshua's got all he needs here. Miraidon EX, the top deck for turn, utilizing the Tandem Unit ability. And this is one of the strongest setup abilities we have seen in the history of the Pokemon TCG. Instantly can get out 2 Lightning Pokemon, and if he so chooses to grab another Miraidon, can fill his bench up with just those Pokemon itself.
It looks like he's taking a moment to check his prize cards here. We already saw an interesting Pokemon make its way to the front there. There is a Zeraora in this list. It is a 1 prize Zeraora from Silver Tempest. It has the Battle Claw attack, deals 30 base damage, and then if your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, it deals 30 more. So really nothing too exciting with that card, but there is some decent math that lines up for it, right? Miraidon EX deals 220 damage. So if you hit into something like, say, an Arceus V-Star, you deal 220 to it. It might be hard to clean up that last little bit of damage, and it would feel bad to just have to hit into it with a V Pokemon like a Raikou. So having something like that Zeraora to come in, just deal 60 damage, do what you need to do to take that 2 prize knockout as a single prize Pokemon, it honestly makes sense, Ethan.
Great against this Gardevoir deck as well when you're damaging yourself so much to take these knockouts. Good to get into the swing of things with a 1 prize Pokemon. See this Regieleki retreat with the Beach Court into play. Usually want to bring this Raikou up when it's already got an energy on it with Electricity Generator. And there is nothing going on in his hand.
What was that item card, Ethan? Electricity?
Oh, Electric Generator.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Just make sure we get that straight.
I thought I learned my lesson last week, but yeah, I think it can never escape me at this point. Electric Generator. That's the card. That's his name.
Electromagnetic or electric? Okay.
If you say it with confidence, right, it could just happen, right?
As long as no one questions you.
Well, they're always going to question me now at this point. So.
Fog Crystal does grab a Psychic Energy out for Henry Brand. I'm going to shuffle the deck here, and on this turn, Ethan, Henry would love to, I think, get some evolutions in play. What's he going to value more, though? Is it going to be the Refinement Curly, or is he going to try to keep something open to try to go for a quick Gardevoir EX?
Like a mix of good is both is good at this point. Does already have the one copy. Can evolve 3 of these if he so chooses to, and utilize the last one. But looks like holding onto this hand so far. We'll see that concealed cards used. Now using the Refinement, finds yet another Curlia.
Yep.
The trade is just still starting. I mean, with this deck, you can afford to give up a few more cards, and Henry is just finding Curlias on Curlias. Continuing to use Refinement, continuing to discard some cards. Could even play the Fog Crystal here to get rid of another Psychic Energy, but it is going to need just the level ball. Playing that, searching out the deck. Doesn't have access to Mew. Could grab something like the Manaphy just to get rid of it with Refinement.
Yep.
Thinning, smart choices here for Henry.
Yeah, and I think the thinning here is a good way to go. It's always funny to see just how these Curlias seem to find each other. You know, you start the turn with just a small hand, one Curlia. You use Refinement. Okay, now I get a level ball. Now I get another Curlia. Refinement. Okay, now I drew another Curlia. And you just keep going, and all of a sudden you started with 4 cards, and you've got a book of cards in hand at the end.
So still one more Refinement to use, 2 more if he decides to evolve this last Ralts into a Curlia. Does also have Worker in hand, or Penny. So
Refinement
just going to Refinement of the way, keeping hold of the Manaphy. It is a card that you still want to sort of keep around sometimes because, of course, Magnezone V-Star is always a potential threat to put pressure on, take that knockout with that V-Star attack. Fog Crystal being played, so still more cards found out. And for Henry, this just feels like a setup turn to me. Building this hand up, building this board up to be able to start taking big knockouts in the following turn.
Now, Henry did find a Research off this last Refinement, so it is still possible for him to get a KO here. Research, ditch the hand, find a Zacian V, Rare Candy, Gardevoir EX, Rare Candy into the Gardevoir retreat, boom, Zacian blows up this Raikou. It's totally possible. Let's see what he can do.
Does find the Zacian, like you mentioned, but no Rare Candy.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, kind of just might have to be forced to evolve this Ralts into the active. You could also attack with it. We are actually going to see the smart choice here. Using the Beach Court first can put... I feel like that's a smart play, though. Use the Beach Court retreat into Greninja. If there's one Pokemon you don't want to be knocked out, it feels like it's that Radiant Greninja, if anything.
Yeah, that's, I think, what Henry's debating here. What would he rather be KO'd? And I think it may be this Ralts. Wants to keep Greninja rounds to just keep getting some Psychic Energies in the discard pile, and especially... that is strong if you do evolve all of these Curlias up in the future turns. We'll put that Collapse Stadium in play, gets rid of the Beach Court, going to slow Joshua down a little bit, also forcing Joshua to discard a Pokemon on his side of the field. And now Henry, with an energy in hand, will just go for the teleportation burst, I believe.
Yep.
10 damage, switch it to the bench, and does send up that Radiant Greninja.
So play works out the same, except this way, protect that onto the bench, and more importantly, you still get that energy drop onto that Pokemon. So valuing that down the line later on.
Relevant 10 damage as well, by the way, because now this Raikou is in range to be knocked out by a Gardevoir EX. It deals 190 damage, so not an irrelevant one single damage counter here.
Big card could be something like the Switch card to potentially heal that 10 damage off.
Sure.
There's still not a lot going on in this hand for Joshua. Does have Ultra Ball, can play that. Find something like the Reggie Aleki VMAX if that wants to come down into play. Of course, Collapse Stadium is put into play. So the way this ruling works is since there's no ability to bench any Pokemon on the bench, can't use that.
Yeah. Does have a Stadium in hand, though, Joshua does. So he could replace this Stadium and still go for the Tandem unit to thin a card out here if he wants to. But like you said, yeah, just not too much going on. He does have an energy he could attach for turn, and he also has Boss. I wonder if it could be correct to just attach Boss, take one of these Curlia out of play.
Of course, building up to that Gardevoir is that main thing, and it's coming down to the stream, and Henry immediately.
Says, I definitely need to read this guy, yeah. That Battle Claw from Zeraora.
Surprised we have that card.
I'm a little surprised as well, to be honest.
So 30 damage, and then, as you said, if it is an evolution Pokemon, 30 more damage. So if there actually is a Regieleki... Oh, okay, hold on. So Ultra Ball can find Regieleki VMAX. That will boost the damage up to 90, and that means if there's an energy card and a boss's orders, Battle Claw can knock out one of these Curlia.
That is true, and I think Josh has all those cards in hand, has Boss in hand, has an energy card, and can just retreat this Raikou with the Beach Court now being put in play. This is actually not too bad. Okay, but we're going for fleet-footed here. I think, and this makes sense too, if Joshua's needing to draw something, needs some help.
Oh, big find. Finds the Arven. That can get that electric generator, even a switching card for Sealstone. All great plays. That Forest Sealstone, I believe, is hiding out in the prize card, so I'm not sure if that's a potential option. I don't know if Joshua is aware of that, though.
Yeah, Joshua does only play one copy of the Sealstone, and I actually don't see any other tools in this list, which is kind of surprising. He is playing 4 copies of Arven. Oh, wait, no, is there's no EXP share, anything like that?
No choice belt.
Oh, there is the choice belt.
Oh,
there is the choice belt. One single copy. So that is the one other tool card that he has available. But 4 copies of Arven, that's a pretty heavy commitment to the Arven search.
Maybe a flashback to Skyla, getting those item cards out of the deck. Of course, times have changed a lot. Format has definitely sped up to a degree. It is going to be the electric generator and that choice belt. So really looking to find some energies off of this. So 5 cards. Let's see. He's playing 18 lightning energy, and Chip, no matter how many energy you play in this deck, you can just never hit these. And Joshua's going to concede.
18 energy in the deck, just totally whiffs and says, I'm out. Get me out of game number 1. We're going to game 2. Henry Brand did barely anything and finds himself up 1-0.
I whiff, I lose. That's the motto of this game. That feels like when I'm playing with friends and I'll miss that or like a Max Elixir or one of those cards. I'm just like, the game doesn't like me. We got to try this again. We got to go to the next game.
Yeah, I think Josh did have a boss in hand, so I think it would have been a pretty solid play, honestly, to go for that Zeraora KO, the Curlia. That's a 1-prizer in your active spot, so that was an option Joshua had. Really dug for that Arven, though, and maybe things would have been a little different if that Forest Sealstone was around in the deck. That can get you one other piece that you need. It also thins another card out of the deck before you use your electric generator. As it stands, though, we're going into game 2. Henry Brand winning game number 1, just 10 minutes removed from the clock.
Sometimes you just set up your Pokemon and your opponent does the rest of the work for you.
Yeah.
And that's Pokemon for you, man.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. We're getting into game 2 now, though. And Joshua definitely did not have the strongest setup, and that was really kind of the story of that game. Henry had an incredible setup in that one. 3 Curlias in play on turn 2. That teleportation burst, putting in a little bit of work. He didn't get the turn 2 attack, but it was A-okay. He got the setup he wanted, and Joshua just really did not like the way he set up and said, I'm out. Here we go, game 2.
Henry's turn now to prize the Forest Sealstone, back and forth between both these players. That Luminion also in the prize cards. Ultra Ball can always be a bailout to find something like Professor's Research to draw more cards. Won't be available for Henry in this game so far.
Yeah, that was one of the unique things about Henry's list from last week, is that he only plays 2 Research, so it does sacrifice a little bit of that early game consistency, but you still have 2 of them, and it's a decent odds to find one early on and just dump the hand and try to get through. Does look like we've got a couple mulligans, yeah, from Joshua. So Henry's going to have even more cards to work with, and that is something you love as the Gardevoir player. You are a set-up deck, a Stage 2 deck. You need time to get your basics in play so you can get your evolutions rolling on the next turn. More cards in hand means more Battle VIP Pass, more level balls, more Fog Crystals, and even something like higher chances to find rare candy on turn 2 and get a turn 2 attack.
Every card matters in Pokemon. Josh, 7 more cards to see, and all the Pokemon come crawling back to him now. Does have Raikou and Miraidon, but of course, Raikou being the better starter, putting that into play. Take a look at the prize cards, see if there's anything super relevant. Roxanna's not a card we see, and no, the Zeraoras in the prize cards this game. I wanted to see that Pokemon come out and attack here in game 2.
R.I.P. Zeraora. Yeah, both players actually prizing their copy of Roxanne, so no comebacks on this game. It's going to have to be who gets more set up, and it looks like Henry is actually going first here, so does that mean Joshua chose to go second, choosing to be aggressive and wants to take a turn 1 knockout?
He understood. He plays 18 energy. He whiffed his electric generator. It's not happening again. He feels confident, hopefully, to
that's how odds work,
spit
right?
them into play. Right? Yeah, if it doesn't happen one time, it will happen the next. A great start here for Henry. Battle VIP Pass, getting these basic Ralts into play. Has 2 Battle VIP Pass and Professor's Research for the following turn. That's what happens when you give your opponent a bunch of extra cards off these mulligans.
Yeah, Henry prizing 1 Research, but opening up the other one that he plays in his hand. You love to see it, and that's the World Champ difference right there.
World Champ difference for sure. Also has the attachment for turn with this Fog Crystal. Where do you think this should go, Chip?
It could just go, well, it's actually going to be grabbing out the Mew, and that's a little interesting because Henry can't get it into the active spot this turn. Zacian does have a 2 retreat, doesn't really play any switching cards, so it will just be Roar of the Sword. I wonder if he'll even put the energy attachment to the active. He might just put it onto one of his Curlia. It looks like it will be to the active, maybe just for a pivot next turn, right?
And one thing that concerns me here is by Henry filling the bench up, it allows this Raikou with the full bench to take a knockout back with Lightning Rondo. If Henry had avoided benching this, he could have made sure the Zacian doesn't get knocked out. But at the same time, Zacian somewhat is a liability with so much damage on it. You can't power it up with Psychic Embrace. But I feel like in my mind, it has to be better than giving your opponent prize cards on turn
could have
one.
held off on benching one of these Ralts, maybe even holding off on benching the Mew until the next turn. Joshua does also play Choice Belt, let's not forget, so even if Henry had held off on putting this other Pokemon in play, there is a world where Joshua can get the Choice Belt and still get a KO, but this does line up pretty nicely. I'm sure Joshua is probably pretty happy to see that Henry chose to fill the bench.
Speaking of filling the bench, Joshua using Tandem Unit, getting these Lightning Pokemon into play. 3 Miraidon down on the bench, so there will be plenty of heavy-hitting power come later on in the game, and I think we might be relying on another Fleet-Footed. Lots of energy cards and Escape Rope in the hand. See what this finds. One chance, baby. Raikou, pull through for me. Nope, just another energy.
I think that's a pretty high odds draw there, that Lightning energy. Joshua hoping, I think, again for an Arven here, potentially.
We're going to see the retreat.
Okay. Attach retreat, Fleet-Footed one more time. See what the hit is. Another Lightning energy. That's the nature of playing 18 energy in your deck, Joshua.
Wants to find them off Electric Generator, not here off the top decks. Oh, but of course, attachment has already been put into play for the turn. And, I mean, Joshua had an Escape Rope, could have played the Escape Rope to get the same effect here and kept an energy card in play.
Yeah.
And now Joshua, you've got all your Pokemon in play, but that's sort of what Miraidon can do. It really struggles to get these attackers going up, and what a solid start.
Yeah.
Double Curlia, Professor's Research. We haven't used any refinement abilities yet, and there's 2 more level ball in this hand.
Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of searching happen here, and I think Henry is going to choose to use... Oftentimes we'll see players go for refinement before they play their search cards, but in this instance, when Henry has so many searching cards in hand, it's actually better for him to thin the Pokemon out of his deck because he knows he has so many ways to find them, and he wants to draw into other pieces here. He needs to find energy cards. He needs to find the rare candy, and it's pretty likely that we're actually going to see a turn 2 attack and maybe even a turn 2 prizes here from Henry Brand.
Joshua says, listen, you got it in your deck? Show me it. 3 refinement abilities plus rare candy Gardevoir. You can get plenty of these Psychic Energy in the discard pile.
Ultra Ball and another Psychic Energy, not too bad. Could even play Ultra Ball to thin once more before this next refinement. Will choose to just ditch the Psychic Energy. That is another piece here, as Henry is going to need to find a way to get some Psychic Energies in the discard pile, but does find a big piece. You pointed at it, Ethan, that rare candy ready to go in his hand.
Rare candy Gardevoir, already there. Ultra Ball, getting out this Shining Arcana Gardevoir. It's a great attacker, and of course, the support Pokemon. Sometimes you don't want to discard those cards later on, and Shining Arcana not only draws you the cards, but if you find energy, you can attach them to Pokemon. Don't need to hit big numbers like 280 in a lot of matchups, but one more refinement. I'm not sure if there's enough Psychic Energy needed. You need to find 5 Psychic Energy to do 210.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 total, so might need to find 1 more energy. It's not attached yet for turn.
I think he needs 2 more. I think there's only 2 in his discard pile currently, so he needs to literally draw 2 energy. He drew a Fog Crystal. What was that other card, though? Was it another Fog Crystal?
I'm not sure. See if there's there. If there's 3 energy in the discard pile, has the attachment as well.
Oh, it was a level ball.
Let's see if it's there. He's attaching to this active, so...
Rare candy into Gardevoir EX. Here we go. Does need 3 energy cards. How many are in the discard pile is the question now. I think it is just those 2. So it might still be worth it to just get a hit in, right? Do some damage. It's better than doing nothing this turn. Could also retreat and go into the Mew to Mysterious Tail if you think that's a little stronger, but yeah, I like laying some damage down. Oh, the Choice Belts!
Whoa.
Okay, coming out of nowhere. That is actually going to be enough. We were focused on the energy cards, but Henry with his Key Tech Choice Belt, that's kind of one of his innovations of this deck, playing this card, and it comes up big.
Acts as 1 less energy, especially on that Shining Arcana when you can only use Psychic Embrace 6 times. Coming in clutch here, Storm Slash, 210 damage, knocking out Raikou, and Josh is left down 2 prize cards with no energy in play and not a supporter card to his name in this hand.
Yeah, this might be a quick one here. Joshua really needs to respond to this Zacian. If he's unable to do that, this game is going to get out of hand very, very quickly. Henry is already very threatening with this Zacian set up. I mean, Henry's board, this is just a testament to how consistent this Gardevoir deck can be. We saw it so much from Henry last weekend in Milwaukee. We were seeing it on display here in round 4 once again.
Beautiful, pristine, set up all those special art cards as well. You got to bling out a little bit while you're at it, and it's going to be an attachment, and we're retreating again into this Raikou, but, I mean, we had that on the bench to start the turn off, so maybe a little bit of indecision. Does find one of those 4 copies of Arven off of this. Raikou fleet-footed. He can finally grab Forza Stone, and there's just a wall of lightning energy in this hand. Not a lightning wall, don't get that mistaken, but still a wall of energy there.
Debating what to do here. I think you definitely want to play the supporter, but I think he's just thinking, what does he get? Electric Generator plus 4 Sealstone, and then Sealstone can get you the switching card, but the problem is that none of the Pokemon on your bench attack for 2 energy. You've already attached for turn, right, in order to retreat the Regieleki.
Still going to be the choice. Don't feel like there's much of an other option here for Joshua. Electric Generator, Forest Sealstone. If you're going to commit to the switch play, we talked about it a little bit, it's sometimes better to use your V-Star power, find the switching card out, because it's one less card that you're going to see off of this Electric Generator. And Josh has got to get lucky here to stay in this game. 2 energy at minimum, but even then, what else can you do?
We'll have to see what Joshua decides to come up with. We are going to see the flip of that V-Star marker. Forest Sealstone activated, getting any card. This is a way it could work, Ethan. The double Electric Generator, and if Joshua has a switching card in hand, that would work, a way that he could get off the attack this turn. He needs either Beach Court or Switch card in hand, though, to make this happen.
So I said wall of energy, but I mean, Regieleki V does have the lightning wall attack that can take a knockout on one of these benched Pokemon, but here we go. 5 cards here. Oh, okay. All right, there we go.
There we go.
All right, now I'll be interested to see where these energy cards go. I think the the card in hand for Joshua is a escape rope, and we're going to see these energies on Regieleki V. I mean, I keep talking about lightning wall here. You do enough damage to take knockouts on most of these bench Pokemon and reduce 100 damage done to you the following turn.
Yep. Yeah, it could be a really strong option. The problem is that you're up against a Zacian that can do seemingly unlimited damage, and that's another double hit here on this next Electric Generator.
Fully powering up Regieleki V and getting energy on this Miraidon EX.
Joshua's saying, see, this is what my deck was supposed to do, right? I whiff in game 1, we're just going to game 2, and now we're getting back to form here. We're making things happen like we're meant to.
Back into the swing of things as much as you can be with this deck. No more energy can come down into play, but did find 2 off of both of those Electric Generators, so 4 into play, and there's the escape rope. So what do you think Henry brings up here? It is going to be the Mew. I think there's a world where you could even put Gardevoir up because nothing's threatening it to be knocked out, but it is going to be the Mew, and there it is. Lightning Wall, 100 damage to this active Mew, knocking it out, and next turn, taking 100 less damage. It is essentially a 300 HP 2-prize Pokemon.
I think getting rid of the Mew makes sense because Mew is really mostly in this deck for setup. You can obviously still use it later in the game, but Henry's accomplished his setup at this point, so Mew seems a lot less valuable, and you don't really want to let your Guardy take a lot of damage for no reason. You know, getting hit for 100 does set it up to be knocked out by a Miraidon later on, so I think it was smart from Henry to go with the Mew send up.
Psychic Embrace, 3 more energy, so there's 7 energy, so that's 8 at this point. So this Regieleki V will be knocked out. 300 damage to this Regieleki V. Perfect math. Can even get a second Zacian down, and it's very clearly laid out here for Henry. Can take a big knockout on this Regieleki V, and then utilize 1 more Zacian. Close the game out with another big Storm Slash.
Yeah, so Henry, I think Henry's kind of coasting at this point. He's got everything he needs. He is hitting for the 300. Regieleki V has the 200 HP. Even though you're taking the reduced damage, still enough to take the knockout. And sure enough, Josh was like, that was my one play, and you got enough energy still in order to get this knockout. Josh was going to need another Electric Generator in order to attack here, and I think his hand is literally all lightning energies.
Does get Switch Guard for the turn, so pivoting option is there. Has Fleet-Footed and a Pokegear. Let's find the copy of Drapion V, but it can't power it up with Electric Generator. It's not going to do a lot, even though it's a Dark type.
Thinking through the options. Here comes the Pokegear. We're going to get an Arven here.
There's the boss.
Arven does let you get that Electric Generator, so.
There it is. Can grab Choice Belt out of the deck. I don't know if the math matters anymore at this point, but got to put as many energy into play as you can, and it's just going to be played right away. Can find one of those 2 remaining copies of Electric Generator. One of them is actually in the prizes, so this will be the last option. And there's the Choice Belt. Spin the wheel again. See how lucky Joshua can get. You're playing all these energy for a reason. Got to clutch up now.
Yeah, you feel like the odds are going to be really low whenever you look at your hand and see 4 energy cards in it, but then you realize 18 energy are in this list, and it's really not that bad of odds. I think only 1 energy card is in the prizes as well, so pretty decent odds to get at least 1 energy on a hit here. And that's really all Joshua needs, is he just needs 1 energy card because he can attach return.
First card energy. Are there 2? Just the 1. So it's going to power up the Miraidon EX. Photon Blaster.
Yeah, the problem with this, though, is that you'll get the knockout, and then Henry just has game on board, right? Yeah. Because all he has to do is send up Zacian V, load up the same amount of energy cards onto it, and just take a 1-hit KO. So this is lined up for our world champ to get a win here, moving to 4-0. Joshua's going to go down swinging. A valiant effort. You got to respect it. Miraidon's Photon Blaster 220 takes the KO. Joshua goes down to 3 prize cards remaining, and it's as simple as Henry drawing for turn, accelerating these energy cards, and taking the Storm Slash KO.
There it is. Big Storm Slash, 8 energy, 300 damage. Henry Brand advancing to 4-0 with the same 60 cards that worked last weekend. Gardevoir EX.
Massive props to Joshua as well, getting to 3-0 with Miraidon. Super cool to see. He's still at 3-1, so definitely not out of things. We'll have to see if we can follow along and see where Joshua ends up, hopefully making it into day 2 of the competition. But Henry Brand 4-0. Another strong showing here, and Ethan, we have to wonder, are we going to see a two-peat? Are we going to see Henry making it into day 2, making it into top cut again? Is he going to make a push for another regional title?
Feels like it's been the season of 2-timers so far. We've seen Piper and Andrew, and maybe Henry is going to come over to our country here, play in some regional events, and take some championship points away, pushing towards potentially a top 8 or I think it's top 8 in Australia, making sure to try to get that day 2.
Top 4,
Top 4, actually, to get that invite there.